I never expected a simple lunchtime surprise. For my wife at her office to unveil the heart-wrenching truth. It was a crisp, sunlit Thursday afternoon when my world came crashing down. With a hopeful heart and a brown paper bag filled with sandwiches and Sarah's favorite iced tea, I set out to surprise my wife at her workplace. We had been married for 7 years, and while life had its ups and downs, I never once doubted Sarah's loyalty or our bond. As I entered the sleek lobby of her office building, the familiar hum of business conversations and ringing phones filled the air. Sarah worked in marketing for a reputable tech firm, and her dedication to her job was something I admired. Today, though, I wasn't just dropping by for lunch. I wanted to break the monotony of our workday routines with a simple gesture of love. I spotted Mark, Sarah's colleague whom I had met a few times at office gatherings, approaching me with a hesitant smile. "Hey, aren't you Sarah's husband?" he asked, his brow furrowing slightly. "Yeah, that's right," I replied, offering a friendly nod. But there was something in Mark's demeanor that made me pause. His eyes held a hint of discomfort, as if he carried a burden he wasn't sure how to unload. "Listen," he began cautiously, glancing around to ensure no one was eavesdropping. "I've seen Sarah and John together quite often during lunch breaks. They seem close." John. The name struck me like a thunderbolt. John was Sarah's manager, a charismatic and affable man whom I had met on a few occasions. He was good at his job and always had a joke or an anecdote to share at company gatherings. Never once did I suspect there was more to his relationship with Sarah than professional camaraderie. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach as I tried to process Mark's words. "What do you mean, close?" I asked, my voice wavering despite my attempts to sound composed. Mark hesitated, his gaze flickering to the floor briefly before meeting my eyes again. "Look, I don't want to cause any trouble. But they spend a lot of time together during lunch, more than just work, you know." I thanked Mark numbly, my mind racing with 1,000 thoughts. Could it be true? Could Sarah, the woman I had shared my life with, be hiding something from me? It felt surreal, like a scene from a movie playing out in slow motion. Ignoring the rising panic, I made my way up to Sarah's floor, clutching the lunch bags that suddenly felt heavy with uncertainty. Her desk, adorned with photos of us laughing on vacations and at family gatherings, felt like a cruel mockery of the trust we had built. I scanned the open office space, searching for any sign of Sarah and John. My heart sank as I spotted them through the glass walls of a nearby meeting room. They were seated close together, heads bent in what appeared to be an intense discussion. John was showing Sarah something on his phone, and she was smiling in that way she used to smile at me. Anger and hurt surged within me, battling for dominance. I stood there, sandwich bags forgotten at my side, unable to tear my eyes away from the scene unfolding before me. The lunch I had thought would be a pleasant surprise now felt like a heavy burden, a reminder of the innocence and trust that was slipping away. Sarah must have sensed my presence, or perhaps Mark had alerted her, because suddenly she looked up and our eyes locked through the glass. Her expression shifted from surprise to guilt in an instant, and she excused herself from the meeting abruptly. I watched as she hurried towards me, her steps quick and uncertain. "James, I can explain," she began, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and regret. But I couldn't bear to hear it. The image of them together was seared into my mind, burning away the certainty and comfort I had taken for granted in our marriage. Without a word, I turned on my heel and walked away, leaving behind the lunch I had brought, the office where Sarah had spent her days, and the life I thought we had built together. The days that followed were a blur of disbelief and pain. I moved through each hour mechanically, grappling with the betrayal that had shattered my world. Friends and family offered sympathy and support, but nothing could ease the ache in my chest or erase the questions that haunted my thoughts. I confronted Sarah later that evening, in the quiet solitude of our home. Her explanations were a jumble of apologies, excuses, and tears. She claimed it was nothing serious, just a friendship that had crossed boundaries unintentionally. But the damage was done, irreparable and profound. In the weeks that followed, I wrestled with forgiveness and acceptance. I sought solace in long walks and late-night conversations with friends who listened without judgment. Slowly, the raw edges of betrayal began to heal, leaving behind scars that reminded me of the fragility of trust and the complexities of human relationships. As time passed, I found a fragile peace within myself. The pain didn't disappear entirely, but it became a part of me, a reminder of what I had survived and how much stronger I had become. I learned to trust again, cautiously and with guarded optimism. Looking back now, I realize that life rarely unfolds as we expect. We are all vulnerable to moments of weakness, to the allure of connection and understanding outside our primary relationships. And while my marriage didn't survive the storm of infidelity, I emerged from the wreckage with a deeper understanding of love, loss, and the resilience of the human spirit.